Hey, it's time for the Warrior of the Week from Vance Air Force Base, talking with Major Logan Stuckey from O'Fallon, Missouri. Where's O'Fallon, Missouri?
O'Fallon, Missouri, it's a suburb of St. Louis. It's on the Missouri side,
Okay.
as opposed to the Illinois O'Fallon, Missouri.
I got you.
We don't associate with those O'Falloners much.
But it's literally the same city. It's just over there.
Correct. So
Yeah.
if you look at a map, there's O'Fallon, the St. Louis area of Missouri and Illinois, and the Mississippi River really acts like a mirror. And there's essentially 3 or 4 towns that are the same distance from St. Louis on either side of the river. It's kind of an interesting little geography lesson.
To draw a river right through the middle of the entire metro of St. Louis.
Correct.
I got you. So you're an instructor pilot for the T-6s, the safety officer. What's a safety officer? What does that mean?
So the safety officer, our job in safety world is how do we prevent, in the flying world, aircraft from crashing. There's another whole non-flying side of the safety as well that talks about how do we prevent people from getting hurt. But what we're really concerned with on the flying side is how do we prevent an airplane from crashing, and kind of how do we prevent an aircrew and an aircraft from getting in a situation that could lead to a crash or a mishap.
So it's more than simply checking make sure there's air in the tires and make sure everything. That's not with the safety. It's a bigger picture idea, right?
Correct. So when people think of safety, they all think of, NTSB goes and investigates an airplane crash.
Right.
That is the most visible part of our job. But we take that a step further. We aviation have made aviation as safe as it is because we take, hey, here's this airplane crashed. Let's look at why it crashed. But now how can we take those lessons and apply them to future aircraft sorties and airplanes flying? And how can we engineer things in the aircraft systems that we learned from this mishap to prevent that mishap from occurring in the future? Gotcha.
You've been in the Air Force 7.5 years. You're a major now. I assume you started your career at Vance Air Force Base?
Correct. I've been in just over 10 years now. Of that, 7-ish have been here at Vance.
Gotcha.
I initially came here as a student, flew T-6s, graduated, and then I FAPed, first assignment instructor pilot, meaning graduate from pilot training, and then I stay here as an instructor for another 3-ish years. We then went out to Charleston to go fly C-17s for about 3 years, and then we decided to come back. We liked it here so much.
Very cool.
So we've been back here for about 2 years now.
So you're married.
Correct.
Got a couple of kids, and they're not old kids. These are young kids. You all must be super busy.
It's a busy day at our house.
Yeah.
Our 2 children, Luke is the oldest son. He was born in April of 21. Nora is our daughter. She's just over 3 months old. She was born in April of 23. Their birthdays are actually 4 days apart.
Very cool. Very neat. You start here as a lieutenant, the butter bars, as they call them. And now you're a major. I don't know that I've ever asked this question before, but how is your day different as a major versus when you were studying like crazy, just hoping that you'd get the wings lieutenant?
So as a lieutenant, when you're here for pilot training, you spend basically 12 hours a day in the flight room.
Right.
My full-time job is to learn how to fly airplanes, and there are no expectations outside of learning how to fly an airplane. As you go on, and then you graduate and you FAPE, and now your job initially as a lieutenant is teach other people how to fly airplanes. And you're not going to really have very many jobs outside of that. Maybe you're the scheduler in the flight room, or you're the person who ensures the students know their general knowledge and their emergency procedures, but that is your whole focus, is teach other lieutenants how to fly airplanes.
Gotcha.
As you promote and captain, and then now being here a major, finding myself in the wing safety portion, my primary job has almost become the safety aspect. And then as time and conditions permit and allows me to have the time to go fly, I'm going to go fly with a student. I'm not flying near as much as honestly I would like to. I'm not flying near as much as I did when I was a FAPE because my job in the safety aspect takes most of my time away from actually being able to go over and teach the students.
Well, I remember talking to many colonels and lieutenant colonels of the same story. They're saying, I just wish I could fly more than a desk.
Right.
Because you get to fly the desk all the time.
Right.
Right. But with that, as the safety officer and a major, tremendous amount of responsibility because you've been there, you've learned how to fly the plane. Now you're looking at it from the standpoint of these kids literally are getting in this plane, I got to make sure that I can figure out an even safer way of having them fly the plane over time than when you started here yourself.
Right. And so we don't, yes, we work in the safety shop, but we are not concerned with only Vance airplanes.
Right.
I'm not sitting here. I'm not the safety guy for Vance. We will take our lessons, and there's another safety headquarters in the Air Force, and we report everything to the safety headquarters.
Okay.
And they're going to look at that from all of the bases, from like the aggregate. They're going to aggregate the data from all of the different locations and say, how can we apply this to the aviation system?
Gotcha.
Where we are here and we're going to give briefings to our students and we're going to talk about mishaps to our students. But my job, my responsibility is not just to our students. My responsibility is to have a good safety investigation so that we can spread that to aviation units everywhere that fly airplanes that may not even be a T-6.
So your responsibility even got scarier, if you want to put a label on it, I guess.
If you could go that. We're concerned about the system, not necessarily our base.
Logan, if you could look into that crystal ball, I assume you're going to stay the 20 years, make the career out of the Air Force, probably?
That's a good question. I've got about a year and a half until my active duty commitment date. There's some options out there for pilots. I'm currently very interested, and I absolutely do want to get to the retirement date.
Yeah.
I want to get to the retirement. There's a ton of benefits that go along with that. Whether active duty is the way I get to that 20 years, or appears to be a guard or reserve, those options are very much what we're in discussion for. And how does that look for our family? But
so you liked being an Enid. Are you going to stay in Enid while you do this thing?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, darn it. I was just thinking maybe you loved it enough that you would stick around. So
we enjoyed it. There's some other things that we wish we could have gone out and see and do and go kind of explore. The rest of some other offerings the Air Force has.
So how old are you?
32.
So you're a puppy dog as far as life is concerned.
Correct.
That's the cool thing about the military and the Air Force in particular. You put in your years, you retire and you step back going, I've got a whole nother life to live.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe part of that will be back here in Enid. I'm not trying to sell you on the town, but I'm just saying.
We'll see.
All right.
We really like Enid. We've obviously spent a long time here.
Yeah.
We like Enid a lot. We wouldn't mind being here, but there's some other options out there that we'd like to go explore.
You got to look around for a while. I mean, I get it. Logan Stuckey, I appreciate you, sir. You be safe, and thanks for what you're doing out there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.